Good evening. Wherever you are right now, let your body soften just a little. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench if it has been holding. There is nothing to do tonight. Nothing to plan. Nothing to fix. Nothing to worry over until morning. Tonight, we are going to think slowly about something that matters very much. We are going to think about children and money, about what it means to raise someone who knows how to live well in the world, about the quiet things you pass on without meaning to, and the gentle things you can teach on purpose. This is not a list of rules. This is not a lecture with action items. This is just a slow, warm conversation in the dark while you rest. You do not have to remember any of this. You do not have to take notes. If you drift off partway through, that is fine. The ideas will find you. They tend to. Let your eyes close if they are not already. We will begin. Long before a child knows what money is, they are already learning about it. They watch. They watch the way you speak at the checkout counter. They notice the small sigh when a bill arrives. They see you look at something in a shop and put it back. They see you pick something up anyway, even when you said you would not. Children are extraordinary observers. They are not yet good at language, and they are not yet good at hiding things, but watching that they do beautifully. And here is the thing about what they observe. They do not interpret it the way you do. They do not have context. They do not know that money comes and goes, that some weeks are tighter than others, that you are making 100 small decisions every day based on priorities they cannot see yet. What they see is the feeling. They see whether money brings tension into your body. They see whether it brings relief. They see whether it is treated as something frightening, or something ordinary, or something shameful, or something that flows through a household the way air flows through a room. And slowly, without any formal teaching at all, they begin to build a relationship with money, an emotional one that will stay with them far longer than anything they learn in school. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to reassure you in a quiet way, because it means that you have more influence than you think, not through formal lessons, not through sitting them down and explaining compound interest, just through how you carry yourself, just through the small, ordinary moments. If you handle money with calm, they begin to believe money can be handled. If you talk about it honestly, they begin to believe it can be spoken about. If you make mistakes and recover and move forward without drama, they learn that financial difficulty is not the end of the world. You are teaching always, even when you think you are not. There is something beautiful about giving a child a small, regular amount of money that is theirs to manage. Not a fortune, just enough to make decisions with. The allowance is not really about the money. It is about the experience of having something to steward, a small weight in the hand, the real, tangible feeling of choice. When a child has no money of their own, every financial decision passes through you. They want something, they ask, you say yes or no. They never have to weigh anything themselves. They never have to sit with a want and decide what to do with it. When they have a small allowance, something shifts. Now the wanting is theirs to manage. Now the decision belongs to them. You are not the one who says yes or no. The small pile of money in their drawer says it. And this, done quietly and consistently, teaches more than you might expect. It teaches that money is finite, that you cannot spend the same coin twice, that having a thing now means not having something else later. These are abstract ideas when they come from an adult. They become immediate and real when a child holds the money in their own hand and feels it disappear. There is no rush here. The lessons do not need to be dramatic. A child who spends their whole allowance on a Tuesday and wants something on a Friday is not failing. They are learning. Let them feel that gap. Gently, without rescue if you can bear it, without a lecture if possible. The gap is the teacher. You can be nearby, warm and available. You can say quietly that next week there will be more. But the experience of waiting, of wanting something, and not having the means yet, is a gift you are giving them, even if it does not feel like one in the moment. Over months and years, this small experience compounds into wisdom. There is a difference between money you are given and money you have earned. Children sense this difference before they can explain it. Money earned carries a particular weight. It is connected to effort. It is connected to something you did, something you made, something you completed. When a child earns money for the first time, not a gift, not an allowance, but something they received in exchange for work, they they tend to hold it differently, a little more carefully, a little more proudly. This is worth nurturing, not by turning childhood into a series of transactions, not by putting a price on every task or treating every small help as something that must be paid. Helping your family, being part of a household, doing the ordinary work of living together, these do not need to be monetized. But there are other kinds of earning. A small project outside the family, a service offered to a neighbor, a creative thing made and sold, even once, even for almost nothing. A little lemonade stand that nets perhaps one crumpled bill after a long afternoon in the sun. The amount does not matter. The experience matters. Because what a child who earns something begins to understand, and this is a lesson that will serve them for the rest of their life, is that money is not magic. It does not appear. It does not descend from the sky. It is connected somewhere in the chain to human effort, to hours, to care, to something given. When they understand that, even a little, they begin to see the price tags on things differently. They begin to translate costs into time. They begin to think about whether something is worth it. That translation from money to time, from price to effort, is one of the most important things a person can learn. And it is learned not from a textbook. It is learned from the particular, quiet pride of earning something yourself. There is a skill, a real and learnable skill, that has more to do with a person's financial well-being than almost anything else. It is the ability to wait. Not forever, not painfully, just a little longer than the immediate impulse wants. When you save, you are practicing patience. You are practicing the belief that the future is real, that what you want will still exist tomorrow, that good things are worth holding on for. Children are not naturally patient. No one is, really. We all come into the world wanting things immediately. The wanting and the having feel like they should be one motion. But the child who learns to separate those two things, who learns that wanting something and getting it can exist days or weeks or months apart, that child is developing a capacity that will quietly protect them their entire adult life. One way to teach this is through a simple jar, or a small envelope, or whatever container feels right to a child. You do not need a formal system. You just need a place where a little money can collect. A visible place, if possible, where a child can watch it slowly accumulate. There is something remarkable about watching a pile grow. Even a small pile, even slowly, the mind begins to form a connection between patience and increase, between waiting and having more. You might call one jar for spending now, one for saving for something, one for giving. Or you might keep it simpler than that. The container matters less than the habit. The habit matters less than the feeling. What you want a child to feel, even vaguely, is that saving is not deprivation. Saving is choosing your future self over your present one. And your future self, it turns out, is always grateful. The child who learns this does not grow into an adult who spends everything immediately. They grow into someone who can hold a little in reserve. Someone who can absorb a surprise without falling apart. Someone who, when something good comes along, has a little pool to draw from. That is a quiet kind of power, and it begins with a jar on a shelf and a few coins chosen to stay there. Here is something gentle that is worth knowing, worth sitting with. When money is saved and left alone for a long time, something almost miraculous happens. It grows. Not dramatically, not overnight, not in a way that would make a headline, but slowly, steadily, in the background, while you are doing other things and not paying attention. You do not need to understand the mechanics of it tonight. The mechanics are not what matter here. What matters is the feeling of the idea. Think of a tiny seed. You place it in good soil. You give it water. And then, largely, you leave it alone. You do not dig it up to check. You do not move it. You simply let time do what time does. A year passes. The seed is a small plant. Another year, taller. Another year, and then another. And after many years, more years than feel real when you first put the seed in the ground, you have something you can rest under. Something that gives shade. Something that will outlast you. Money works like that. Not exactly like that, but the image is true enough. The money you save when you are young has more time to grow than money saved later. The earlier you begin, the more years there are for that slow, quiet magic to work. A child who puts even a small amount aside and leaves it, who develops the habit of not touching it, of adding to it when they can, and letting time be the engine. That child is doing something that will serve them decades from now, in ways they cannot yet imagine. You do not need to explain this to them with precision. You do not need to make it a lecture. You can just say, softly, that money left to rest tends to grow. That patience is one of the most powerful financial tools there is. And then you let it be. The idea will plant itself. It needs time, not repetition. There is a kind of quiet that falls over many families when money comes up. A shutting down, a change in the air. Perhaps money was not talked about in your own home. Perhaps it was spoken about only in stress, only in whispers, only when something had gone wrong. Many people carry that into adulthood. They find that money, for them, carries a particular emotional charge, that it brings up things they cannot quite name, that they avoid looking at their accounts or avoid having certain conversations because the feeling that rises up is uncomfortable. And here is the gentle thing worth knowing. That feeling is usually inherited. Not from a gene, but from a room. From the silence that fell when the topic came up. From the faces that changed. From the lesson never spoken that money was something to feel ashamed of, or afraid of, or secretive about. You have a chance to do something different. Not to make money a constant topic. Not to burden children with adult worries they cannot carry. But to simply let money be a normal thing that can be spoken about. A part of life. Something that flows in and out of a household that requires attention but not fear, that can be discussed the way you discuss the weather or what is for dinner. When a child asks how much something costs, you can answer honestly, in a way that is appropriate, calm, age-gentle. You do not have to give them every detail, but you can give them truth. When something is out of budget, you can say so plainly, not with frustration directed at them, not with drama, just, that is not in the budget right now. We will look for another way. Or, not this time. And then move on without making it heavy. Children do not need to be protected from the existence of money. They need to be protected from the anxiety that adults sometimes pour into conversations about it. You can talk about what things cost. You can talk about how your household decides what to spend money on. You can talk about what is important to your family and why you make the choices you make. None None of this has to be formal. It can happen at the dinner table, in the car, in the ordinary margins of an ordinary day. The goal is simply that your child grows up knowing that money can be discussed, that it is not a shameful secret or a source of dread, that it is, at the end of the day, a tool, a useful one, and tools can be talked about. There will be periods in most lives when money is tighter than usual. This is not a failure. It is simply part of the rhythm of a financial life. Good periods and leaner ones, seasons in a way, and children, depending on their age, will sense when the season has changed. It is tempting to hide this from them, to try to keep everything looking the same, to keep the same rhythms, to borrow or stretch in ways they cannot see, so that their world appears unchanged. Sometimes this is right. Sometimes the worry is too large for their small shoulders, and protection is a form of love. But sometimes the gentle truth serves them better. Not the full weight of it, not the fear, just a quiet acknowledgement that right now your family is being a little more careful, that you are making different choices, that some things will wait. Children who are given this kind of honest, calm information, without panic, without blame, without the weight of adult anxiety, often rise to it. They become thoughtful. They say, without being asked, that they do not need the thing they wanted. They feel, perhaps for the first time, that they are part of the family in a new way. That feeling matters. A child who learns that a family can be tight and still be okay, still be warm, still be together, still be full in the ways that matter, carries that into adulthood. They learn that scarcity is not the end, that difficulty is not disaster, that a family's worth has nothing to do with what it can afford in a given month. This is a deep lesson, one that cannot be given any other way. The child who has been held through financial difficulty, calmly, by an adult they trust, grows into someone who can hold themselves through financial difficulty calmly. You give them that by how you carry it, quietly, without making it larger than it is. Let yourself breathe for a moment. Everything we have talked about tonight, the allowance, the jar, the honest conversations, the earned dollar held more carefully than the given one. None of it is complicated. None of it requires special knowledge or special resources. It is all just presence, attention, the willingness to let money be a normal, speakable, learnable part of a child's life. And here is the deeply gentle thing about all of it. The seeds you plant now will not show their full growth for years, maybe decades. The child who learns to wait will not become a patient adult overnight, but the lesson is in them somewhere, working slowly. The child who learned that money can be discussed will one day have an uncomfortable financial conversation with a partner or a friend and will not freeze. They will find words because words were available in their home. The child who earned something small and felt that particular pride will, years later, bring that same dignity to their work. They will know what it means to make something, to give something, to receive fair exchange. You will not see the full bloom of what you are planting. That is the nature of seeds. You plant in faith, in hope, in the simple, repeated act of showing up and tending. It does not have to be perfect. It rarely is. You will forget to follow up. You will sometimes handle money with less grace than you would like. You will have stressed moments. You will do things differently than you planned. That is fine. That is human. What matters is the general direction, the general warmth, the general willingness to let your child see that money is something a person learns to handle over time with patience and honesty and the occasional mistake. You are not trying to raise a financial expert. You are trying to raise someone who is not afraid, someone who can budget and wait and earn with dignity and give without guilt and speak about money without shame. That is enough. That is, in fact, quite a lot. And it happens not in formal lessons, but in the accumulated weight of small, ordinary moments. Moments like the ones you have every day, without even trying. There is one more thing, and it is the most important. You are not starting from zero. Whatever you are thinking about tonight, whatever brought you here, whatever questions you are carrying about how to teach your child about money, the fact that you are thinking about it at all means something. It means you care. It means you are paying attention. It means you are the kind of person who lies in the dark, in the quiet, wondering how to do right by someone small. That is not nothing. That is, in fact, most of it. The details will follow from the caring. The The conversations will happen because you have decided they can. The jar on the shelf will appear because you want it to. The honest answer to the child's question will come because you have, somewhere in yourself, decided that money can be spoken about. None of this requires you to have it all figured out first. You can be learning alongside them. You can say, I am still learning how to handle money well. That is not weakness. That is the most honest and powerful thing you can model. A child who sees their parent being thoughtful about money, not perfect, but thoughtful, honest, curious, and calm, is a child who learns that thoughtfulness is the thing, not mastery, not certainty, just the steady, humble willingness to pay attention and keep going. You are already doing that. You have been doing it without knowing. And tonight, just by being here, just by thinking about this slowly and without urgency, you have done it a little more. Let your body go fully heavy. Whatever you were carrying when you lay down tonight, set it at the edge of the bed. It will be there in the morning if you need it. You do not need it now. You have done enough today. The children in your life, whether they are yours or young people you care for, or even just the child you once were, they are held. They are learning, even now, not from lessons, from love, from the slow accumulation of ordinary days in which someone showed them, quietly, that life can be handled. That money is not a monster. That enough is real and patient and available to those who wait for it. The seeds are in the ground. You do not need to watch them grow tonight. You only need to rest. Let your breathing slow. Let the room go dark behind your eyes. Let the thoughts soften until they are not quite thoughts anymore, just shapes dissolving. You are doing well. The little ones in your life are lucky to have someone who cares like this, who thinks about these things, who wants to give them not just things, but the wisdom to handle things. That is a gift that does not fit in a jar, but it is the one that lasts the longest. Rest well. We will be here tomorrow night.